Hello, everybody. So it finally happened. I was convinced to play the One Piece card game, and it wasn't that I was against playing One Piece, it's just that I usually do not like to invest into card games that do not have a local scene where I'm at. Right now, Digimon has a scene, Dragon Ball has a scene, but there's not a scene for One Piece or Battle Spirits. But several of my friends, my friend groups have said, hey, we're going to play the game amongst ourselves. We're going to keep it super cheap, super budget, primarily with trial decks, things like that. And we're going to just play amongst ourselves and have fun. And if an event comes up and we really love the game, then we'll go and delve a little bit deeper into it. With that being said, I went to Target, picked up a couple of decks. I picked up a Shanks deck and I picked up an Akainu deck because that was what was available there. And then I played for, a couple weeks. Now, I really enjoyed Shanks quite a bit, and I've had pretty decent success with Shanks overall. One of my friends was playing Black Akainu, and I liked a lot of mechanics that Black was bringing. So, I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. And I had the deck chilling with me, but I knew I couldn't use any of the cards inside of Shanks. So after going to a tournament for Dragon Ball and seeing the One Piece community there, I talked to them about the game. And so after they, gave me a few cards to help bolster Shanks, one guy talked to me and said, hey, if you like the film cards and you want to be able to dabble in Black, why not give Zephyr a try? And after I read him and saw what was going on, I said, no, what? Why not? So I cracked open that Akainu deck box and I said, let's smash these two together and see what we come up with. So here we are with my build of the Zephyr leader card. So here we are with Zephyr, also known as Big Z from Film Z. Zephyr has a cool ability. So one of the things I liked about the Black Akainu deck was the removal that it had built into it. Akainu as a leader was able to just kill things once you put the effort into minusing it down to 0. So Zephyr has a lot of that same utility, but he does it a little bit easier, and he also does it in a way that you still get to use your energy for other stuff. So what he is on attack, he down minuses 4, he able to pop a 3 or less. It's a lot easier to get things down to 3 than it is to get it down to 0, so Zephyr makes a lot of sense. Zephyr also pumps himself by 1, so you're usually able to run into things that are in rest mode and put a lot of pressure in opponent's hand, as well as run up on leaders and require them to have to combo at least a 2K combo. Not combo, but counter. Gotta make sure I get this terminology right. Or, use 2 cards in hand to protect their life total. So Zephyr all around is pretty strong. But the one thing that had me kind of afraid with Zephyr is that he starts with 4 life. So Shanks and most other leaders I've seen start with 5. Him starting with 4, being down 1 life, makes you have to be a little bit more defensive than what you would normally be. But that kind of works out considering the cards that you're able to get from combining the 2 trial decks together, plus a couple of small upgrades that are like less than 50 cents a piece. So we're going to start off with everything in Dawn order, starting with 1 and going up to the top of the order. So we have 4 copies of Buena Festa. Buena Festa is a 2K counter. He's also a top 5 searcher for a film card. A lot of times people try to put you on going first, so opening Buena Festa gives you value right away. And then you're able to take any subsequent copies and just use it for counters after that point. So this is one of the few upgrades I have in the deck. I think it's the only one. Shiki. So there's a card that comes in the Shanks deck that does a very similar thing. Shiki is a 2-3K power that when you check him off your life, you are able to don -1 to put him into play. But usually I don't do that. I'm running Shiki because he is a 2K counter. Only time I will ever really play him off of the check is if I need another card that I know that they're swinging with something small and I need to be able to swing back into it and deal with it and not burn my leader skill or leader swing on that card. Then we have the card I think that makes the whole deck kind of work, which is Karina. Karina does a lot of things in this deck. So her main ability is that she's activate main once per turn, where you get to pitch a film card from your hand to ramp to Dawn. Now, that's pretty good. The requirement, though, is that you have to have less Don than your opponent. But seeing how we have so many Don minusing effects, not too many, but enough, she will come up almost every single time. Now, I said she does so much. The other thing she does is she acts as a blocker. And what I mean by that is that as soon as your opponent sees you ramp 2 Don with this girl, he is not attacking. He is attacking her. He is putting his effort to killing her. So she is the greatest distraction known to man. To help protect her, if need be, as well as yourself, we have 4 copies of Uta. Uta is a blocker, 5k, that on block, Don minuses 1 to rest in another opponent's character. So you get to, 2 for 1 basically with her. We play 4 copies of another ramp card, which is Ein. And what she's able to do is just on play ramp 1 in rest mode. What's really cool about that is that you could use her to ramp 1 -4 with Z and then use her to ramp 2. So then Z ends up only being -1 versus a -4. One thing I also noticed about the One Piece card game is that card draw is not exactly abundant outside of maybe blue or basically blue from what I could see. So we played 2 copies of Guild Tesoro. This guy right here is similar to her in that once your opponent see what Guild Tesoro does, he is not worried about you anymore. Guild Tesoro on swing, Don -2, draw 2 cards. And like I said, drawing is very, very precious in this game. So having a card that just says swing, draw 2 is very powerful. Then we have 4 copies of Suru. We're getting into the black cards now. Suru is a blocker. Now, Film does have a blocker, but the Film blocker is not good because it does not have any counter ability. But we have counter on Suru. We also have 4 copies of Helmeppo. Helmeppo is a 2/3k that on play minuses the cost of an opponent's card by 3. And the whole thing about black is that they lower the cost of the opponent's cards so that then all their skills that pop things with low costs suddenly works on big guys. And that's what the situation is with Helmeppo. With him, Z is now able to pop 6 drops because of his -3. We have Tashigi. She's another 2k counter. But what's great about Tashigi is that you are able to repeatedly use her by resting her to -2. So that way, again, Zephyr could pop 5s or less, which is, kind of a sweet spot. And then we have Hina. Hina is able to -4 on play. So now you have access to 7s with Zephyr to be able to pop. And then to further that, we have 4 copies of Sengoku. Sengoku on swing -4. So that then allows you again to have access to 7 drops. Now we're done with the character cards. We're going to get into the events. The events are pretty straightforward. We have 4 copies of Union Armada. This card is pretty strong. You are able to use it as a counter to +4 a film character or a film leader. And if you +4 a film character, that character cannot be KO'd for the turn. So usually I like to reserve this for the Karina or Guild Tesoros of the world, just to keep them around so that you don't have any issue. If it is checked from your life, you are able to use its skill instead of adding it to your hand. In the case of this skill, you ramp 1 Don in active mode, which again is very strong. We have 4 copies of Whiteout. I remember the first time I saw this card, I was like, man, this card is insane. So you are able to counter for 1 energy and give +2. So now you have 4 more 2k counters. And then if it is checked from your life, you get the trigger ability to make it so that your character cards cannot be KO'd for the turn, which is super wild. And then we have Shockwave, 2 copies. I would probably actually would bump this up 2 more if I had access to it. And I probably can if I just get another trial deck or talk to some people. But Shockwave allows you to do similar to this, +4, except for it also, instead of preventing something from being popped, it pops something in active mode with cost 3 or less. So if they have like another card or a blocker up and you're just trying to get through this attack and then come back to your turn, you usually could just use this to kill off that blocker or that follow-up attacker. And that is my Zephyr deck. It's nothing super special, but I do like it, and it does seem to work out okay in this more casual format that me and my friends are playing in. And if you are trying to get into One Piece on a budget, it may not be a bad place to start. So I'll catch you again next time, and this is VG Time signing out.